Good evening, everybody. Hopefully you can see me and hear me. Hi, how are we? Always unsure. Always unsure whether we're going to be seen and heard. Every week I do a test. Every week I'm always unsure. It's always the same. Let me know if you can see and hear me in the chat, because I don't want to launch into my hellos if no one can see and hear me. Loud and clear. There we go. Awesome. Good evening, everybody. My name is Anto. Welcome to the stream, coming to you live from the end of the world, and it's a real special stream tonight because we're launching the cheat sheets that I kickstarted earlier in the year to the public and pressing the big red button so that everyone's going to be able to get them. And I'm suited up for it. You can see if I move my desk, I've got a pocket watch and everything. Like we've gone all out for this. I've got my mana potion ready to go, which as per Twitch's guidelines is absolutely non-alcoholic. And we're gonna have an awesome evening we'll do a little bit of world building, maybe. We'll press the big red button and launch the cheat sheets. We'll hang out, we'll talk RPGs, we'll do all that good stuff. So I hope you are primed, ready, have your beverages and refreshments ready to go. I've just got to finish pressing all of the buttons that tell people that I'm live, waiting for the Discord bot to wake up and actually put out the notification, but it doesn't seem to want to do it. So while I'm doing that, say hello in the chat. How was your Sunday been? What have you been up to? I went and sat at the beach for like 3 or 4 hours this morning and caught the sun, so I'm all shiny because I'm covered in moisturizer and like after sun because I burned a little bit. Because I was like, it's a little bit overcast, I'll be fine. And then the sun came out and it was real warm. And it burned my face. Let me go ahead here and manually paste in the Twitch notification because nobody's seeing it because the Twitch bot, the Discord one, isn't doing its job. So let's tell people that we are live. Come and celebrate good times. Okay. It's been a mostly chill day, TV and a Sunday roast for family, also while sitting with fans on. Yeah, it's been super warm. Hello, welcome to the stream, welcome to the party. Welcome to the party, pal. Oh, I should have absolutely queued that up on the stream deck. So that every time someone joined, it was just the Die Hard clip. I feel like that would have been a good way to get the stream turned off, but it would have been funny. So yeah, we are going to do a little bit of the usual stuff this evening. We'll probably get some world building done at some point once everyone's in and we're set up a little bit. We'll push the big red button and make everything go live and make it so that people can finally get their hands on the cheat sheets, and that's all really exciting. And as usual, if you've got any RPG related questions or topics for discussion, throw them in the chat. It's always good fun. Once we get into the world building segment, there's a whole bunch of cool stuff you can do with the channel points, with the gold crowns, ways you can interact with that. I'll talk more about that once we get into it. But for now, have all the buttons been pressed? I believe that they have. So while we're waiting, folks, let's go ahead and switch over to the desktop view. And we'll take a little look at how we're getting on with the Jewel Cities of Talabar, which is the next campaign setting for my next campaign that I'll be running. And it's the setting that we've been working on for the last 6 or 7 weeks now. We've been doing it for a couple of months. We hit 300 pins and locations on the stream last week. I've not really done a huge amount since then because every time I look at it, I'm like, the 300 is such a nice number. But we've managed to get a load of stuff for this location already down and established, and it's all coming along really nicely. I've been reading a whole bunch of stuff for inspiration. Been reading a whole load of preview stuff for some upcoming books. It's been really cool for adding some flavor and cool stuff to the world. Time for 33 more. Yeah, we'll get halfway there. What are we up to? Have I added any? This is a question. Right, let's zoom out and find out. I must have, because we're at what, 289 299 302. So I've added 2. I don't know what the 2 I've added are. I don't even know what they would be. So they're somewhere. We did a lot of work on this southern region to the south of the Vale last week. Figured out that this is the Vale's enemy. Did a little bit of work on that. Did a little bit of work figuring out where these people came from. They came originally, they were settlers kind of fleeing from one of my other campaign settings and arrived here, and we did some work on that. And then I think that we added some more monsters, maybe? Yeah, maybe. Let's have a zoom in here and see what else we did. We had some locations. Coward's Barrow, that was a randomly generated location name from a spreadsheet that I've been working on that generates a whole bunch of stuff that I've been using for this to help inspire kind of pin placement and stuff like that, and that's been a lot of fun. So I figure what we'll do is we'll probably do like maybe half an hour of some world building before we press the button, let people get the notification and come in. So it usually takes about half an hour for the stream to pick up to the point where we get all of the people in. So we'll do some world building for a little while before we go and press the big red button. Callie says, have you ever read the Tower and Blade trilogy by Marquez Williams? That's really interesting. Magic system based around patterns and weaves that's set in a Middle East setting. I've never read it, but it does sound interesting though. I missed the notification. I forgot to send it. Welcome, Abby. Hello. Thank you very much. Pint of Guinness here to celebrate with you. I have my mana potion, which is an elixir of various orange substances and an amaretto. It's really tasty. Discord bot is awake. It took its time, like 10 minutes. That might be the longest it's ever taken to be like, hey people, it's on. No, it doesn't look orange, does it? It's blue curacao is why it's so blue, because it overpowers absolutely everything else in the drink. I knew I wanted a blue drink because, you know, the branding for Icarus is all blue. So I went with blue curacao instead of what would it be? Cointreau, orange. What's the non-name for orange liqueur? I would have had some raspberry, but I forgot to. Or I would have made a Cosmo, but I forgot to pick up cranberry juice. I was like, gotta remember to pick up cranberry juice, and then I went out for breakfast and beach times this morning and completely forgot. Isn't all the brand name for Icarus white, grey, and gold? No, it's a like super desaturated, like dark blue. I don't have anything available to show you what it is. It's the kind of blue, if you look at the screen in between the dice that are on the kind of overlay, that's like tiny bit of blue, like super desaturated. That's what it is. Grand Mariner. Grand Mariner. I'm looking at Discord servers icon. Let's have a look. It is much harder to see in the Discord server icon for sure. It really does almost blend in to the rest of it. There is a slight blue tinge, but it's quite desaturated. And then it's white and gold on the icon and the lettering. Right then, so let's get everything set up. Get back to the stuff. The mana drink will be tasty. Let's do some world building. I think let's see if we can finish off the Vale, because we're pretty close to getting the Vale finished. We've got a couple of empty spots. So we'll have kind of an overview of what's going on in the Vale, and then we'll figure out what some of the empty spots are. Right then, so what do we know about the Vale so far? So we know the Vale is one of the richest and most well protected areas in the Jewel Cities. We know that it's protected both by the geography of the world, by the shield, this great cliff and mountain range, as well as the coastlines, and we know that it has a lot of wealth because it has mithril mines and a bunch of other precious metals. We know they worship Cardia, the maiden, the goddess of love and beauty, and they perceive their queen, the maiden queen, as being the physical embodiment of that goddess on earth. What else do we know about them? We know that they have a precious resource called Timestone, Elysium, which crashed into one of these islands down here in the south some years ago, and then they fought a war with their southern neighbours over who had the rights to this Timestone in what became known as the Timestone Wars. So we've got that element to play with. And then, do we have a third dial to turn? Let's have a quick look at the other locations, see if anything is jumping out at me as a third dial. We know that the Maiden Queen is currently not of age, so a lot of the decisions in the realm are being made by kind of a council on her behalf. And then that's all we know about the Vale so far, I believe. Yeah, it is. We know there are some dwarves there, but I don't think the dwarf, like this one dwarven settlement, is enough to be a dial that we can play with. So what we've got to play with, the kind of wealth of the nation, the aspect of their worship of Cardia the Maiden, and then this Elysium, this time stone. And these are kind of the three dials that we can turn to different amounts to think how are different things that we might add going to be unique to this location. So if we add a monster, let's say we go, right, okay, we take one of our three dials and apply some of those properties to the monster. So if it is a case of it being wealthy, how does that wealth impact the fact that there are monsters? If it was the dial of Cardia the Maiden, we can play with that by looking at different points of contention between the principles of Cardia the Maiden versus some other deities in the world, and we can maybe go, right, okay, we've got some monsters, maybe we'll have monsters that stand for the opposite of Cardia the Maiden's traits, and that's a dial that we can play with. Or we can play with the Timestone dial and go, right, okay, this is a monster, but not quite as we know it because it's been affected by the Timestone, and we get to play with some timey-wimey, wibbly-bibbly, Jeremy-bury-me magics. So we've already got a number of monsters on the go in the Vale. We've got dryads, we've got a time monster, we've got a couple time monsters actually. We've got some Norns, some night hags, cultists. So I don't think we necessarily need monsters. We've got a couple of cities on the go. We've got Basalt, which is the protector city that protects the pass up through the shield and into the Vale. We've got Dawn, Malachite, Dream, and Galena, so we don't need more cities. Probably don't need more towns, so we're probably going to be looking at more random points of interest, events that the players might run into on the road, so things like our severed heads here. So in this tile, if the players were moving between Malachite and Foxglove, they would find a selection of severed heads on spikes. These belong to a group of cultists who are in service to a night hag, and that night hag worships the god of nightmares, Noctis, and they kind of stand in opposition to Cardia in a lot of their kind of defining principles. So we could have small little moments like that might lead to other things, or might just serve as isolated little vignettes. Or we could go for more things like magic items, so like fragments of the crown of the Maiden Queen. So this is an Aeon stone that has come loose from the Queen's crown, so the crown has got a stone missing in it, and that is where it's located. Or we could have a Gloom Blade, which is found here in the trees. That's another option we can go with. Navetal says, as someone who doesn't play Pathfinder 2nd Edition and has none of the books, is there a list for what monsters are available for us to request? I tried to Google stuff but can't tell what's homebrewed and what's official. So the best place to go for that is the archives of Nethys. So let me grab the linky poo here. So that's the link to the archives of Nethys. That has all of the official Pathfinder 2nd Edition material on it. Just have to make sure to click the little Pathfinder 2E button at the top when you're on the homepage, and you can go and you can look at all of the different creatures. But if there's a 5th edition creature that you'd like to request, you can absolutely do that. It'll be no problem for me at the time if the players are in that region. I'll just make a note for now that it's a 5th edition creature, and then closer to the time, if the players are in that region, then I'd do the conversion or find something close enough to that. Aurelium says, when it comes to monsters and other combat NPCs, how often do you build your own stat block versus use the official one? So wherever possible, I prefer to use official ones just for the sake of time. If I can find an existing stat block and use that, it saves me having to come up with it. But I almost always do something to the NPCs or the monsters that I put in front of my players. Whether it's just adjusting how many hit points they have because I'm running them as a solo monster instead of as a group, whether it's giving them legendary actions or tweaking their specific action economy, whether it's giving them spells or giving them new abilities, I almost always do something to the monsters, especially since playing 5th edition, because as far as I'm concerned, 5th edition monsters can be really boring sometimes, and it can be nice to inject a little spice. And one of my favourite ways to do that is to just take either an ability from another monster or some kind of legendary action or a spell and turn it into an ability for the monster and just give them the ability to use that. That can be a really interesting way to make a combat just a little bit more spicy without having to do a huge amount of work completely rebuilding a monster, because completely rebuilding a monster takes time. Let's go ahead and I will throw up some ideas with my evocative point of interest generator in my spreadsheet. So the first place that we get is the Cloaked Ruin. So let's go ahead and find a place for this ruin to live in on this map. So when I'm thinking ruins, I'm thinking places that have probably been impacted by the Timestone War. So we probably want somewhere that's kind of in this southern half here. So that might be cool to have it along the shield, kind of as a watchtower. Like this point right here seems to be begging for like an outposty style watchtower. So we'll go with that. Callie says, I think I'm going to end up adapting 90% of the monsters from the Cobble Press tomes over some stage for my own games. So many fun creatures in those huge books. Yeah, it's so nice to have like a big repository of extra monsters to pull from. Cloaked Ruins. Yes, Cloaked Ruins. The Cloaked. Let's not put the Cloaked Ruins. So we want that to be hidden. And then we want to change our pin. So this is going to be a non-settlement based location, and it's going to be some kind of outpost or fort. And then we want to hide our pin, and then we figure out a little bit about these ruins. So some kind of important location in the Timestone Wars. Cloaked by the overhang of the shield. Perhaps, yeah, it could be built into the face of the cliff. That could be cool. If it's cloaked, it's probably not going to be right next to the road. Otherwise, it'll be somewhere well hidden, wouldn't it? Cloaked by the forest. Yeah, I think that having it built into the face of the shield of this cliff face could be cool. That could be why it's cloaked. So we'll have built into the face of the cliff for now. And then I'm thinking maybe during the Timestone War, it was the location, maybe this southern enemy tried to sneak up into the Vale through this location. Cloaked by some sort of chrono anomaly linked to the Timestone. Could have some element of Timestone, some catastrophe have happened there. Maybe it was a storage place for some Timestone and a battle took place there. And because of the battle, something happened, and maybe there's some weird chronomancy happening there. I don't want to lean too heavy into the chronomancy, making everything absolutely weird all the time. because we do have somewhere, I can't remember where, this battlefield down here I think might have been affected by it, but it could have something to do with that. For some reason my mind went to a ruined altar, maybe one for the god of the one who sides in the time war, desecrated and destroyed by the other. Could be, it could have been some kind of originally of religious location dedicated to Cardia and mostly destroyed during the Timestone Wars. During like a sneaky sneak attack by the Veil enemy. So something happened. They were trying to circumvent the shield without having to go through basalt. Maybe they tried to scale this area or something like that, and then there was a big old fight in this location built into the face of the cliff, and some kind of bad thing happened, and the kind of previously religious location was largely destroyed, and now it is like a crumbling ruin. So I'm thinking, I'm getting vibes of the prison cell that Tyrion gets put in when he goes to the Vale in Game of Thrones, and it's just open air. So I'm thinking that maybe there are still some monks or some other kind of monastic tradition that operates out of this location, even though it's still ruined, and they are just like walking tiny little precipices to go between rooms that are largely like exploded or destroyed, and they're still serving out their time in this location. Gonna head out, sorry, work tomorrow, enjoy the managers and great company. Thank you for stopping by, it's greatly appreciated. Maybe it wasn't always cloaked by the cliff and the way it was destroyed by the saboteur making the cliff collapse on it. Yeah, that could be an element of it, that it was built into the cliff, and then some kind of explosion or destruction has meant that it's exposed to the elements now. So there are still monks that live and work here. Blasted rooms open to the elements. So that could be a cool place to get sent to for a quest, or have to go and speak to someone or find something or take shelter there. Just an interesting location in which to set it. So let's go ahead and generate another place. Let's cycle through until something jumps out at me. So a lot of this generator, there's like, I don't know, 500 or something possibilities. There's 300 options in one and like 200 options in another, and it puts the two words together, like Dragon's Gorge or Azure Rock, Gilded Web, Coward Spire. And it's a case of you just cycle through them until something jumps out at you as being evocative. Crackling Reef, Masked Watch, West Bay, Colossal Dome, Knowles Creek, the Veiled Fountain. I like that. I don't know what it would be, but I like it. Let's go find somewhere. I'm thinking a Veiled Fountain. This region worships the Maiden, Veils, Maidens. That whole set of imagery works well together. Veiled Fountain in the Vale, bit on the nose, maybe, but typically, throughout history, people have named the hills that they live next to Hill, and the rivers that they live next to River. So, like, on the nose naming conventions is much more realistic than I think we allow ourselves to be a lot of the time when we're world building. But it could be too on the nose. Yeah. Well, now you've got me doubting myself. Yeah, no, we'll skip over that. Let's keep going. The Rested Sepulchre. That is pretty metal. Not necessarily, certainly not for this location, but the Rested Sepulchre is a metal name. So we're going to go and stick that somewhere in the desert. So a sepulchre is a small room or monument cut in rock and built of stone in which a dead person is laying or buried. Cool. So out here in the desert, I want to create a page. I want to link it to an existing template, and we're going to go Rested Sepulchre. It's going to be hidden, and then it's going to be the burying location for some kind of previous bad. So we go this, and then we go. Have we got a grave icon? I know there's a grave icon because I've seen it. So the Rested Sepulchre, monument slash tomb slash resting place for some kind of iron themed big bad. Iron giant. Wait, a fountain can be interesting just with different adjectives. Maybe a natural spring made it into a fountain and the water is believed to have some certain properties. We do have some, like a special lake somewhere, I think. Aurelian, history student here. For true realism, we should have like 15 rivers that are all called river. Exactly. It is one of those things that I think that when we're trying to build worlds that appeal to like a wide audience, you don't want to repeat location names. You don't want to go super simple with your naming conventions necessarily, but that just isn't how it is throughout like all of history. But then I suppose we're trying to make something more fantastical rather than going full on history. We could just set it in the real world. There's plenty of cool stuff that's happened in real history that you could base an entire campaign around. There's a road near me called the Street. Yeah, right. Road. Right. So Rested Sepulchre tangent aside, we do have the lake. So yeah, I knew there was a body of water in the Vale that was sacred. So there's a lake in which Cardia is said to have bathed. So pilgrims go there to cleanse themselves in those same waters. What are you using to build this? Yeah, so the pins and everything is being done in Legend Keeper, and the map was made using Incarnate. So we want another location somewhere within the Vale. So let's have a look. A lot of them are a little more extreme than I would like. Like the Howling Volcano. Super cool name. Not quite the vibe that we're going for this. Just keep scrolling through these until something jumps up. The Crystal Gate. I quite like that. Don't know what it would be. Could be something. There could be something there though. Crystals. Kind of like Timestone. Timestone would be crystal-ish. How about a big, impressive looking aqueduct? Maybe an ancient ruined one leading to a now long gone city. Makes a Howling Volcano a tavern. That's a good tavern name. Let's go ahead and right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll roll a d10 for it. D10. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 8. So in the City of Dream, in the capital city, so one of our locations in the capital city is going to be the Howling Volcano. A tavern within the city. Just gotta remember that and never name anything the Howling. As a rule, I don't like putting volcanoes on maps because I think they are one of the more expected things that you see on fantasy maps, I like to be really sparing with my volcanoes. So it's unlikely that my players are going to encounter a volcano in this environment without leaving and going somewhere else. How about calling the crystal location something like the Laughing Stones? Tavern Special Hot Sauce Challenge. Yeah, specialise in hot sauce. Having something like the Laughing Stones. What are the Laughing Stones? The Laughing Stones a real thing here? Oh god, don't Google Laughing Stones. It's the images that come up are terrifying. Oh, yeah, now we've got to put Laughing Stones in because those are absolutely grotesque. Oh, I hate them. I hate them so much. Again, that feels like a frontier thing. We're gonna drop it right there. The Laughing Stones. What are they? Why are they? Nobody knows. Nobody wants to know because they're disgusting looking. So on question mark. Confirm. Pew. Let's get that. Okay, look at that grotesque image. Right. So unsettling. I think it's the zippers as well. Obviously, the Laughing Stones aren't going to look like that, but I want to remember how unsettled I feel looking at that when I come back to the Laughing Stones if the players are in that region and I want to develop that location. Imagine signature drink is called something like volcanic, and it's very spicy beer overflowing with foam from the lava out of a mountain. Absolutely. Have a look. Redeemed an NPC. Marisha Fallsworth, owner of the Howling Volcano. Perfect. Let's go ahead and add that. Okay, let's zoom in and let's go and play around in Dream for a while. So, owned by Marisha Fallsworth. Bob, have we got any idea on an ancestry for this character? Marita Fallsworth. Let's go ahead and look at review rewards queue. Name an NPC, mark as complete. I'm going to click that. The only problem is we don't have a map for Dreams, so it's hard to place locations. Is there anywhere that we do have a map for? Let's have a think. I think we've got maps for Mornberg and we've got maps for Glamour, I believe. Yeah, so Glamour has got a map that I found on the Explore page in Incarnate and went in and did a tiny little bit of work to change the name, moved a few elements, and then Mornberg uses a stitched map of the Mordheim computer game. So those two areas have got maps. I don't actually think anywhere else has got location maps yet. So we can't go too much on the wheres of everything within Dream, but we can definitely make notes as to some of the locations in there. Okay, so where were we going to make? We're going to make some kind of crystal gate, I believe. Nothing's jumping out at me for that, so I'm going to keep refreshing the old names until something does. A lot of them are much more metal than I'm intending for here. Let's go more to the generic point of interest generator, and see what we get from that. We get a military camp. I don't know if we've got a military camp currently within the Vale. If we don't, we can absolutely add a military camp within the Vale. Potentially somewhere wilderness. Can't remember what our military camp symbol has been up until now. I feel like it's a sword, but I don't know if I have a location for that. I feel like it's a pink sword. Name I think feels more half-elfy. Cool, yeah, half-elf. Somewhere halfway between the shield and the capital. Could do. Half-elf, half-elf. So I believe that Dream is the capital. Dream is the capital, so halfway between the shield. That would put us in the town of Him. So instead, we can amalgamate the military camp into the town of Him. So let's go ahead and make some notes here. So let's start off with a little secret box and make a note that there is a military encampment here. And then let's have a think of what we've got. Okay. Maybe Him has a garrison. Yeah, so like a military garrison within the town, yeah. So the ruler is probably going to be some kind of military leader. Thank you very much for the sub. So it could be governed by like a military group. So our ruler is captain of the military garrison. So then we need to think about why have a military encampment here, especially in a time of peace. So this would be, like we said, the road from Basalt, which is the road up into the Vale, and it would lead to Dream. So it could be a kind of defensible point, strategically significant. That might be why it will have been garrisoned during the war. Maybe it was garrisoned during the war and they just never left. So garrisoned during the war, and the commanding officer was granted stewardship after the war, maybe. So it's more like a military commander who has been given the town kind of as a recognition of their service, but then keeps kind of a strict garrison and strict kind of military attitudes throughout the rule of the town. Given the town's maybe the military group is called the Iron Choir. I like there being maybe iron. I associate more iron with another region on the island of Or, the region for House Delacroix. Their symbol is like an iron cross. And then like the choir element. I was thinking this when I looked at the name of the town being Him. A lot of the places in the unclaimed lands have that kind of song-based naming scheme. So I think Him might actually be a better name for a town over there. So we might rename this town. Rai says, hey one and all, hey one and hey all, welcome to the stream. Phoenix says the descendants of the original captain are still the rulers. I imagine the original captain would still be the ruler. The Timestone Walls aren't going to have been that long ago. Could also be a temporary thing, a legion that's stationed there seasonally, because there are certain times of the year with increased unrest and tension, possibly. So it could have been, yeah, I like that. Perhaps it was meant to be temporary and just never ended, and there being an element of unrest to that. I do think we are going to change the name of this location though, and we're going to go ahead and move Him down into the unclaimed lands somewhere. So we've got our regions here, so we're just going to go ahead and create a location and call it Him, because that sits better within the naming structure inside the unclaimed land. So that's a settlement, it's hidden. Go ahead and hide that pin. And then jump back over, and then we just need to figure out what this place is actually going to be called. Fortunately, I have yet another generator for naming locations. I think I started that sentence so confidently, but no, I do have one. Botics. That's an awful name. A lot of these places. Furnace is pretty cool, actually. Yeah, Furnace. I'm going with Furnace. I like Furnace. Nice and simple. Furnace. Yeah, that's how you spell it. Centervale. Yeah, Midtown. Yeah. So we've got military as the government. The language is going to be Talavari Common. Our dominant population will be human. Our minority population is going to be dwarves, because we're relatively close to Shimmer. Our dominant religion will be Cardia. In terms of our magic items and stuff, we will take a leaf out of the main Vale area. We haven't figured out the main Vale area. Good Memories used to be rock metal club with great bands. Now you made me imagine an army of musicians, and only high-ranking officers get to use trumpets, trombones, tubas, and horns because they're the top brass. I love it. Oh my god, that's amazing. So we need to figure out how prevalent magic is going to be in the Vale. Given that they've got time stone, I'm gonna say pretty high. So our spellcasting level in the Vale is probably going to be 10th level spellcasting. This is, again, Pathfinder 2nd edition has, 10th level spellcasting, not just 9th level spellcasting. Our max item level, now this references specifically what's available in shops, so I don't want to go too high in terms of what's available in the shops, so we'll stick that around 10 as well. This is a region that would sell magic items, so that gives us some information on the Vale as a whole. So now we can figure out how Furnace plays into that. So if there are 10th level spellcasters available in the Vale, I like to think that it's probably only going to be 1 or 2 10th level spellcasters in any one region. So probably we're not going to find them here. If they're going to be anywhere, they're probably going to be in Dream near the Maiden Queen. So we're probably going to be looking at a battlefield caster, possibly a cleric, possibly like the war doctor, the company physician. So we want lower level spell casting. So let's go ahead into the old archives of Nephis. We'll go ahead and look at the cleric class, and we also want to look at spells. Specifically, cure wounds. No. It's going to be a heal, some kind of healing. Spell to heal is a level 1 spell. And then we want to look at resurrection. Resurrection is a ritual, and what level ritual is it? So that's a 5th level ritual. And heal is level 1. So let's go ahead and look at clerics and figure out how high level we're going to have for this cleric. Cleric table. Right, okay, cool. Here we go. So they get 5th level spells at level 9. So that's a decent mid-level battle cleric. So our max spellcasting level in the town of Furnace is going to be spellcasting level 5. That's not how you spell resurrection. So they will have resurrection available as a spell within here. In terms of the ability of magic items for sale, I'm going to say that no, magic items are not going to be available for sale here. If it's a military encampment inside a town, I imagine that they're going to have a fairly kind of hardline stance on arming people with what is essentially weapons of mass destruction inside their own town. So, and then we need to figure out what max item level is going to be. So, spellcasting level 5 on a cleric means the cleric is level 9. So we'll keep in line with that and think that if the players are going to be here, and the kind of highest ranking NPC is going to be around level 9. We'll take a couple levels off it and we'll put our max item level as 7th. Doing this means that when the players come to this point, I've got a really good framework to figure out what's available in shops. So I can look at this and go, right, no magic items for sale, which means if the players want to buy magic items here, they're going to be an individual's bartering or black market. Or if they want to buy non-magic items, their maximum item level is going to be item level 7, because the way Pathfinder 2nd edition works is that it assigns item levels to things even if they aren't magic. And then we know that there's level 5 spellcasting available here, including Resurrection. That's mainly if they arrive here in the early levels and someone dies, we know that there is a Resurrectionist available in this town. So, the town of Furnace, we've got an idea of kind of who is there. We've got a captain or a commander of a military garrison. It's going to be quite a strict place. I'm going to say the danger level is probably going to be quite moderate, but that danger is mainly going to come from the watch, from the city watch, who might overextend themselves. So in terms of plot hooks, this would be a hotbed for rebellions or for people kind of anti-establishment people. It may also be an interesting element, could be war veterans. So the town having been given over to this commander to steward, we could have this kind of juxtaposition between the captain of the garrison and his men that are still employed and still being supported, and then veterans of the Timestone Wars that live in this town that aren't still in active duty, that are being kind of poo-pooed on by the crown and not receiving the support they get. So if there's a rebellious plotline or like an anti-establishment element within the town, that could play a part into it. Ow, I just absolutely dug one of my nails into my finger and it really hurt. Owie. So that gives us our little military encampment within the town. The whole town could be military, the old residents were moved on. Could be. That could be a way to have the old residents kind of live in the outlying areas. Could be an interesting way to do it. But I think that gives us a good starting point for the town of Furnace. Let's go ahead and generate another generic point of interest and see how we're going on. So some kind of hunter. Have we got any hunters on the go in the Vale? Find my screen again. So we've got severed heads, we've got witches' bones. We've got people producing scour, which is a kind of narcotic. We've got the lightning beach. We don't have any hunters. So we do have grizzly bears here. So I'm thinking maybe a random encounter with a hunter on the road here, which would be our quests. Then we go ahead and change this to be our random encounter pane, which is white and rounded with a question mark. And then, so this person, hunter, going into the woods to hunt for game / some kind of prize animal. And then maybe it's the grizzly bear because that already exists there. And that can be an encounter that the players have on the road if they're moving between Galena and Dream. So let's go ahead and grab another point of interest then. So some kind of dungeon. Let's have a look here and see what we've got going on in the way of existing dungeons within this location. So we've got an entrance to the Underdark that exists already. We have a ruin, the ruin of Silver Forge. We've got the ruins, the cloaked ruins, but I don't think we have just a classic, good old-fashioned dungeon for like a dungeon crawl. So we've got some coal here. There is no village currently there, so I'm going to say this hex is going to have a dungeon that is the former coal mine. Something has taken over that coal mine. So let's go ahead and create from template. We want quests. We want dungeon. So yeah, abandoned mine. A mine. Oh yeah, rest monsters. Ideal. So go. Yeah, this is a quest. Create and pin. And then we want to hide that, change that to that, change that to that. Find our dungeon door. Dungeon? There we go. Dungeon. And then I can sleep well now. I've made a solid suggestion. And then it was abandoned because we'll put right next to it rest monster. Now I don't know whether there is rest monsters in Pathfinder 2nd edition, so let's have a look. Let's see, rest monster level 3, so that's going to be our level. Don't have an invisible fairy using an irresistible dance along with the rest monsters. Level 3. So we hide that page. We hide that pin. So we've got our pair of things here. We've got an abandoned mine. Let's move those a little bit closer to... Oh, that's not what we want to do. We want to turn on pin dragon. Move that a little bit closer there, just so that it's all nice and tidy. Don't know what this mine looks like, but if everything's resting and crumbling, the path has to collapse behind the party at some point. Have an alternate exit. Yeah, that's an excellent idea. Holding the beams of the roof up, collapse shortly after entrance. So that's ideal. That's an ideal kind of what is the word? Like speed bump, roadblock, obstacle. It's an ideal one of those for the party to run in for like a low level adventure. This, rest monsters are only level 3, so this isn't going to be a super high level adventure unless other things get added to it, and that's an ideal kind of setback, that's the word, thank God, for them to encounter in a place like this. So let's go ahead and have a look for another one. So a walled, fortified village or town. So I'm going to add that as an addendum to the town of Furnace, because I don't think that needs to be its own thing. Walls around the town. Makes sense with it being a military encampment. Let's go another one. Traveling nobles. Yeah, basalt would definitely be walled. Right, so we've got traveling nobles. So we need something on the way down to Dawn. So let's go ahead and create from template. We go with quests. We go with traveling nobles. Cave Fisher, Bestiary 2, page 49. Perfect. Go ahead and find somewhere for the Cave Fisher to live in just a moment. Traveling nobles. Right, we'll leave the traveling nobles for a second, and then we'll go and we'll have a look at Cave Fisher. While that loads up, I'll double check to see whether we've actually already got a Cave Fisher. We do not. Perfect. Okay, cave fishes, little crab dudes, lurking dark corners. Just about any smaller prey. So they can really be mostly anywhere. So we could probably add them as another creature that could occupy this mine. Yeah, let's go ahead and throw them on here as well. Combination of rest monsters, some cave fishes. It's good mine related monsters. Cave fisher, creature level 2. That was supposed to be hidden. Hide page. Hide pin. Why have you not hit? Don't be freezing. There we go. We need some grumpy old miners who fled from the mining town long ago and now some a nearby city, and they'll keep rambling about how long it's been and how the government doesn't seem to care about them unless they serve as the quest rumor giver to the mines. Yeah, that could absolutely be. We could either have that in Foxglove or Dream. Let's go ahead and we'll put it between them, and then we'll make a note of that as being these people can be in either of the nearby settlements. Disgruntled miners. So we need to change the pin for that to be our little quest icon. And then make a note. Can be located in either Dream or Foxglove. Giant claw in hand. Nice. Let's have a look. Giant crawl in hand. Giant crawl in hand. Level 5. So the reason the quest template doesn't use that icon by default is because it is also what I use for monsters. So when I started using it, it was predominantly for monsters, but it serves for these little random ones because what I principally want is just the little quest giver reward description part for this as well. I don't need as much information as I need for like a location, which has all our government information and stuff. So you can only set one default pin for a pre-existing one, so it's just easier to change it. Let's go ahead and show the requests queue there and clear up some of these. So we've got cave fisher markers complete, giant crawl in hand. Right, we're going to do the giant crawl in hand, and then we're going to take a short ad break, and then we're going to press the big red button, I think. So let's figure out where this giant crawl in hand is. So I'm pretty, yeah, just it's a crawl in hand, but it's giant. Cool. So that's probably not going to be in the Vale. Again, that kind of stuff immediately makes me think of kind of more of the frontier up into the desert. So we can put that right here. Giant crawling hand. And that is a creature 5. We'll grab the thingy for it as well, and we'll make it a hidden page. And we will edit up. We don't need to edit the pin because it already is a thing. And then let's go ahead and copy the image for that as well, because it's nice to have visuals. There we go. A giant crawling hand. That is creepy. And then we can hide this pin. Go ahead and mark that as complete. Mark as complete. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take like a 90-second break. Go get refills on drinks and things. Have a stretch of the legs. And then when we come back, we'll press the big red button and make the cheat sheets live. So I will see you in like a minute. Welcome back. For those of you that are out of the void of the ad, I haven't. Twitch has like no way of showing me whether an ad is playing for other people. It's just like, yeah, we're not going to show you the ads because, you know, it's your channel. You don't need to know if the ads are running or not. But we'll hover for a minute and see. Make sure that everyone has the chance to get through any ads that are playing before we go ahead and do the big button press. Time for a bottle of bird. Save my last wee sip of the cocktail until we press the button. Okay, so look, everyone should be back by now. So let us go and do the button pressing. Like, it's been a long time coming. It's been, well, like 6 months since the Kickstarter. So the cheat sheets themselves were finished in May on time, and then it's just been like sweeping up all of the stretch goals. And obviously I spent like nearly a month away from home with COVID, which was not fun. So it's really exciting to be able to finally go live with them. So I'm going to switch to my desktop view. This is the behind the scenes look at the Drive-Thru RPG page. And when I was like, it's just pressing a button, it really is just press it. I click the make public button, and then that's it. They're out in the world. So I'm going to trust that like the 4 times that I've looked to make sure that everything is right with them, that everything is still right with them and nothing's magically changed. We're going to go ahead and we're going to press the button with Phoenix's drum roll. I'm going to make them public. So give it a second, let them propagate, and then let's go ahead and see. There we go. The cheat sheets are now publicly available. And I believe, there we go. There is the link for anyone that wants to go and check them out. So this is a resource for helping new players learn the 5th edition game. It is a specific sheet for each of the SRD classes, and it lists out all of their abilities. There's a bunch of custom art in it. It tells you what you can do on your turn. It allows you to track your abilities usage, and then it also has some kind of references for what you can do more broadly during your turn to really help new players get a sense of how to use their character. Included in this bundle is a whole bunch of other stuff. So you get the 12 base class sheets, so the 12 core classes and their subclasses. You also get a bunch of stretch goals, so you get blank versions of the class and subclass pages, so you can make versions of these sheets for the Artificer for all of the subclasses that aren't in the SRD, because the only way for me to be able to make them would have been to do it on DM's Guild, and you can only do that if you only do it on the DM's Guild. You can't raise funding for it or anything, so there's no way to give you access to all of those things and actually be able to make any reasonable money out of this project. So there's a whole bunch of blank classes, so you can homebrew classes as well. There's ancestry cards for all the SRD ancestries that show you what their abilities and their ability scores and what their speeds and all of their different features are. So the idea is that if you've got a new group of players, you can print out a set of these reference sheets for the classes, the reference sheets for the ancestry cards, as well as there's a player reference screen and a character creation guide in there as well. So you print all this stuff out and you can use that to help the players make their character with custom character sheets that put much more of a focus on like clearly communicating the information that your players need to know and where they need to put all of this information. So all of the player character sheet, I will pull one of them up right now so you can get an idea of what they look like. Let's go ahead and see. Is this one? This is one. Can I open this in an internet window? I can! Look at that, the wonders of technology. So this is the first page of the custom character sheet. You can see that all of the sections are numbered. That means that when you are teaching people how to run the game and how to play the game, You don't have to, you can be much more specific. You can say, okay, make an action with your longsword. That's in section 6, the actions and attacks bit, and it makes it much easier to communicate to your players where information is on the character sheet. And then that character creation guide walks you through and tells the players, right, okay, here is where you need to list down this piece of information. This is what section it is in. Here's where you'll find this other piece of information. And it should hopefully make it much easier to onboard new players. Print a whole bunch of the reference sheets, the blank character sheets, the ancestry cards, and just lay them on the table. You don't need to have a book at the table then. No one needs to stop and flick through. But if they do, then there's references there for them. It's also got a session 0 guide to help dungeon masters and game masters kind of get a sense of what they need to do beyond just the rules for setting up that first session. So if you are new to the game, or you know people that are new to the game, this is an ideal bundle to point them towards to get a bunch of resources that just make the process easier. Because 5e is a relatively simple game as far as D&D is concerned, but it's still hella complex. You know, there's still hundreds of pages in the rulebook, and it can be really daunting and overwhelming for someone to look at their rulebook and go, man, I gotta read all of those pages. Whereas that's not the case. Obviously you don't need to read all of those pages, but it's much less daunting to just go, hey, here's like 3 pieces of paper, take 5 minutes to make your character, and then we'll be up and running, and these 3 sheets of paper are going to tell you 99% of what you're going to need to know while we're running the game. So that is linked in the chat. It is available for the general public, and it is good to be pretty much finished. I still have one more stretch goal that is not available to everyone. It was an adventure bundle that was an add-on that's part of the Kickstarter, so not everyone is going to get that. So that still needs to be finished off, but other than that, the Kickstarter is finished, and which is a nice relief. It's nice to have worked on something for so long and then be able to click the button and make it go out public. And yeah, like Flynn says, if you pick it up, or if you're already a backer especially and you've had it for a while, I would really appreciate you leave a 5-star review on it, because good reviews early on, especially in this first kind of week, are going to be crucial to help drive those initial sales and help get badges and things and help it reach more people. So with the big old salesy spiel done, let's go ahead and see if I can't show you a little more of what I have and how you can use these things. Let's go ahead here and pull up this image, because this image explains it, I think, much better. So here we've got the class reference sheet for the Paladin, and we've also got one of the custom character sheets, and you can see how they will be used together. So all of the Paladin specific information is on the Paladin's reference sheet, and then you would go through as the player and you'd mark down all of the relevant information that you'd want to know on your character sheet here, and then you can use the two in tandem. So anytime that you want to use one of your specific abilities, you've got all the information there. You don't need to go looking things up. You've got trackers, so you can mark off your number of uses. It tells you what level they're appropriate for, and then you've got a character sheet that you can use and go, right, okay, the DM can tell you you'll find this specific role. I need you to make an athletics check. That's in abilities and skills, which is section 2. And it just makes the whole process much easier and simpler. Let's go ahead and click on here. Callie says, a lot of the info on these sheets would be useful for teaching Pathfinder players too, with little alterations. Absolutely. My main hesitance for making Pathfinder ones is there's a lot more options in Pathfinder, so it's a lot more time to make them. So obviously there's more ancestries, more classes, and then you get into archetypes and backgrounds. It's more of a time investment to do that without knowing how well it's going to sell, because obviously 5th edition is the £800 gorilla in the space, and when you want to make a product for 5th edition, you can be relatively sure that it will sell okay, especially with like Kickstarter and stuff. But definitely once I am more familiar with Pathfinder, future products are going to have much more of a focus of 5e and Pathfinder, like SideQuest magazine, which is the magazine I release every month over on Patreon. It's a digital magazine packed with content for players and GMs. That is currently 5th edition and kind of generic RPG fantasy focused. But as I get more familiar and comfortable with Pathfinder 2nd edition, that will get 2nd edition Pathfinder versions of everything that gets printed in it as well. Something to maybe try once you're more settled with this. Exactly. So that is those all launched and live, which is super exciting. So let's go ahead and do a little more world building. I'm getting incredibly warm in here, so I'm going to take my waistcoat off because it's not cold. Like, I've got a fan on and it's still hella warm in here. It's all the lights and the machines turns it into a big old hot box. Yeah, cover your eyes. No, it's only the waistcoat that's coming off. Right? I'm only one cocktail deep. Like we're not in any danger of anything else. Okay, so we were in the Jewel Cities. We just placed our giant soon. Yeah, Icarus Games After Dark coming soon to OnlyFans. It's not happening. That's gonna get clipped. We were working on the Crawling Hand, which we've placed. So let's go ahead and place another element. Oh yeah, we had the Traveling Nobles. We need to figure out what their deal is. So they're coming either to or from Dawn, so between Furnace and Dawn. So we've got military encampment on one end of this spectrum, and we've got kind of the import-export hub for Timestone from the other. So if they're coming away from Dawn, maybe they're carrying Timestone, maybe they're transporting it somewhere. If they're going to Dawn, maybe they're going to buy Timestone. So I suppose that our main dial is what have they got on them in terms of things that could be robbed. Excuse me, how settled are you on them being genuine nobles? I'm not settled on it. They could be fake nobles. Fake nobles. Yeah, let's go fake nobles. On their way to some kind of job or con in the City of Dawn. So they could be undercover assassins or thieves, perhaps spies from another empire. They could be Veil enemy spies. Really need to figure out with what the Veil enemy is called. Veil enemy spies, maybe. So yeah, that could be cool. Run into some traveling nobles. They're using kind of go into Dawn to pick up a consignment of Timestone as their cover, and they are actually spies from the Veil enemy that are going to try and find some information. Trying to find some information on the Timestone in Dawn. Cool, so we're getting pretty full, so we need something for this. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that all? 5. We've got like 5 locations, maybe 6. 5 to 6 locations left to do in the Vale to get 1 per hex. So some kind of cave. That'll do ideally for this landlocked, this coastal region here. Oh, thanks Bob. Thanks. Create some kind of cave here. So cave. We'll go with quest because it's not a specific location. As soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, I know what's going to happen here. God damn it. Right, what is the pin? I know we've got caves that exist elsewhere on this map. So let's go ahead and look at what their icon is. So we've got a dungeon icon on one. And then dungeon icon on the other. So let's go for dungeon icon on this one. Edit pin, make it pink, make it rounded, give it the dungeon door. Cool. So we've got some kind of cave going on in here. There's a lot of past timey-wimey stuff in the Vale. What about some future timey-wimey stuff? Sourceless whispers from someone party will only meet for the first time later that day, or mirages of events planned for much further in the campaign. We could absolutely incorporate that into this cave. So let's go. We're gonna edit the page. We're gonna go, nope, we'll keep that same as it is. The cave of so if it's gonna be futures, we've got like tomorrows, and then we need to decide whether we're going for like a neutral slant on this or more of like a horrific slant. So is it going to be like the cave of screaming tomorrows, or is it going to be like the cave of some time in the future? This can require a lot of planning ahead, but if you can pull it off, boy, it's going to be fun. Yeah, timey-wimey stuff is always fun. I always seem to end up with some kind of chronomancy stuff going on in my campaigns, and it's always mind-melting, but it's a lot of fun. Let's go with the Cave of Screaming Tomorrows. Not all caps, that's even more aggressive than I was going for. So some kind of future timey-wimey stuff, and that maybe shows potential paths of the future and is known to drive men mad, because future stuff always makes people go mad, and that can be where we go with the screaming element of it. Is it's got a reputation for, if you go there, and people will go there to glimpse their future, but their future isn't necessarily what they want to hear, and it drives people mad. So that's a cave, so we've got what, like 4-5 places left to go. So some kind of guarded treasure, that's our next random prompt. Mitch says, hello cuties, what's been the highlight of everyone's day? Other than the stream right now, I spent my morning at the beach. I went for breakfast with a friend and then met up with some more friends, and we sat by the beach for a couple hours. It's very nice. I'm a little bit red and roasty now though. Right, guarded treasure. I'm going to say guarded treasure is going to be this location here, up in the mountains, up in the forest near Shimmer, and then we just need to figure out what guarded treasure we're going to have. So, guarded treasures. Let's go to my list of stuff and things in my Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to go index, Pathfinder 2nd edition item list. Then if there's going to be a guarded treasure, I feel like we want it to be maybe like level 7, 8, or like 8, 9 or 10. Let's go there and then see how many results we get. A lot. There's a lot of items at those levels, so let's adjust our rarity. We want to get rid of common items, and see where that leads us. That still leaves us with a lot, but we can figure that out. So let's have a look. We've got some intelligent items. An intelligent item could be cool. We've got held weapons, worn items, staves, runes. I think some runes could be cool. But runes are really specific. If you don't have the right kind of rune for what the players have got going on in that point, then probably not. A dagger could work. Goddess of Time is working hard to cleanse and sanitize the chaotic time of the future before we mere mortals can experience it safely at the present or remember it as the past. Prolonged exposure to unprocessed futures can lead to hallucinations, mania, and even death. Exactly. A dagger. Let's see if we've got some daggers. So that is going to be some kind of weapon. So untick everything that's not a weapon. And not a worn item either. If Excel doesn't want to... Stop freaking out, Excel. There we go. Right. Have we got some kind of dagger? Specific magic weapons, base items, beast guns. We've got cudgel. We've got eclipse. What's eclipse? Let's find out. Striking cold iron star knife. That's pretty cool. Like that. That could definitely be a thing. Ornate central grip that depicts a silver dragon, the neck, wings, and tail of which wrap around the handle, not to support the weapons. 4 cold iron blades. Handle is polished into a mirror-like shine. Yeah, cool. Yeah, let's go with this. Level 8 dagger. Nice. Then we need something to guard it, like a custom item that can allow a reroll on attack damage, keeping in with the timey-wimey affected weapon, maybe. Don't want to go too heavy on timey-wimey stuff as like a default, because I don't want it to become super one-note. Eclipse dagger, it was level 8. I want to hide that. And then, is it a quest? Yeah, we don't have a pin specific for treasure. So treasure is that shaped. And then it is a specific weapon, so we want some kind of sword. And then grab the link to the Eclipse dagger. No, grab the link to the Eclipse dagger, thank you. And then we need something to guard this thing. So we want a monster that's in the regions of sort of level 7 to 10. So let's go ahead and jump to my creature list, and we will change our levels to be between 7 and 10. And our creature types we'll choose aberrations, animals, astrals, beasts, fiends, dragons, maybe fae, not humanoids I don't think. Some spirits or undead could be cool, not celestials. A construct could be cool. Ooh, a dream. Elementals. Yeah, we'll go elementals. We'll go some kind of fiend. Fiends are always good fun. And then see what we end up with. So we've got a whole bunch of options to sift through. Guard it. Why not have someone wield it while guarding something else? Because then it has to. This item would be the principal piece of treasure. If they're guarding something else, then it's a level 8 item and a more worthwhile piece of treasure or something worth guarding, which can kind of skew the balance there. And that's a lot. It's a lot of monsters. We need to narrow this down some more. So, do we want it to be what size? We don't want it to be huge or gargantuan. So let's go, and we don't want it to be small. We'll go large and medium-sized creatures. That still doesn't narrow us down as much as I would like. But let's just start clicking on some names that I don't recognize and see what they're all about. What is that beautiful creature? Oh, look at it. It's magnificent. Beneath the campus of Mammothel, yeah, we don't care about the specific things. It's a construct, it's mindless. Has it got any cool stuff? It's got a wasting gaze. Creature holding or wearing an object. It's full of objects, so it could be... Yeah, I like this. So it could be that this item is embedded in the creature, and it's not that it's guarding it or wielding it, it's that this is the creature's kind of home, and the dagger is embedded inside the creature. So Ward. I believe that was a level 10. Yeah, level 10. And then we'll make that hidden. Nope, we don't need to edit the pin. I don't know why I'm defaulting to editing pins. I don't need to so much. Could be the dagger's power could be something to do with it, or it could be that this thing has like a withering gaze, so it could be that because the dagger is magical, it's one of the few things that hasn't withered. So embedded in the chest of the Waco ward. Cool. So there's another one. So we are getting real close to having the Vale all filled with our first pass. So let's go another generic point of interest. Let's see here what we've got. 2 more people having a duel. We've got a really cool duel elsewhere on the map that every time I get duel as an option, I'm like, I've already got a duel, and the duel is really cool. Use a mirror to defeat it, get itself with the withering gaze. That's really cool. I like that a lot. Nice point of view now. Has to play somewhere with a great view. Yeah, could just be a really stunning vista. Yeah, I mean, that's it doesn't always have to be doom and gloom. Let's have a quick zoom out here and see where we could have a nice view. Let's go here. Some kind of viewpoint. So some kind of location that is renowned for like some kind of great view. Like people come here and they're like, wow, this view's so good. I can see so much stuff. We could have it. Could it be north? No, we can't see the cut from here. But we could move Lightning Beach and have our viewpoint kind of overlook the Halcyon Gulf. That could be cool. Yeah, let's do that. So we move Lightning Beach. We change viewpoint here. Lightning Beach goes there. And turn that off. Could be some kind of northern lights. The northern lights. The Aurora Borealis. Located entirely in your kitchen. Yeah. Some kind of northern lights style event happens here. And we want something to do with the... We don't have Halcyon Gulf as a thing. Do we not? No, we don't. That's strange. Halcyon Gulf. Well, let's make a thing for the Halcyon Gulf right now. Create from template. Yeah, create from template. Parent. It's going to be Jewel Cities. It's going to be location template, settlement template. It's not a template. It's not a settlement, but I need some of the information. Of course, it's not going to make a pin because that's not what I was doing. Link to existing. Halcyon Gulf there. Right, okay, we want to edit the pin on that. Only want to show the icon, and we only want waves. Perfect. Could be the format location of an old beacon that has since become a spot for folks to consider. Lucky to gaze upon certain times of the year. Yeah, there'll be some kind of structure there, something like that, where people can come and look out over the Gulf, thinking maybe at some point of the year, perhaps, maybe there is a lunar or a solar eclipse or something like that changes the way the light filters in and plays off the Halcyon Gulf, and it kind of illuminates the Gulf in a really interesting way. Because that would be kind of cool. So where we need one here. Nah, we've got one there. Just looking to see where we need one there. So that's one. I think that might be on there too. It's like three more places in the Vale. Let's have a look. What we can find. A hermit. An adventurous camp. Have we got an adventurous camp in the Vale? I don't think we have. I think we've only got the one destroyed adventurous camp that's down near Eruxis, I think. Yeah, just down there. So we have some kind of adventurous camp. So let's go ahead and roll for it to see what kind of adventure camp it's going to be. So that's going to be a destroyed adventurous camp. Well, we've already got a destroyed one. Let's go an occupied adventurous camp. So then we get a chance for some nice interaction. How about a beach skeleton of some giant sea monster at the tip of the peninsula northeast of Dream? We could have some like a beach dwell. We could have an adventurous camp the adventurers have set up, and they're kind of harvesting this creature. Create from template. Quest adventurer camp hidden. Then we want to edit our pin. This is always a bigger fish. Exactly. A group of adventurers. Body of a great sea beast. And whatever the sea beast is can largely be left to be decided kind of closer to the time, because that will make it level appropriate. So that it's like, here is a beast that is obviously higher level than you, that these adventurers have presumably killed. I love the recurring artist types. One of my favorite gimmicks. Make that artist. Make the artist. Full location. Did I miss the artist? Where did I miss the artist? Maybe there's an NPC sitting there paying or something. Yeah. Recurring artist. Now I'm up to speed. I missed the original comment. So we've got 2 locations in the Vale left to figure out. So we've already got a hunter. Some kind of shipwreck, maybe? Depending on where have we got left to put it? We've got here. I think that actually might be the only one. Oh no, this one right here. Shipwreck. Perfect. Create from template. Some kind of shipwreck. Again, with something like a shipwreck, I can leave it super vague as just the title of it, and that can be something that I figure out what the specifics of it are when the players get nearer to it, so I'm aware of kind of what level they are and kind of what they've experienced and stuff, to make sure they're not getting too much repetition of content or anything like that. Have it washed up on the beach. I've got the context of, the Timestone Wars. There will have been a number of wrecks. This could be tied to that. This couldn't be tied to that. It could be pirates. It could be whatever works at the time. Fallen sea levels. I mean, in Ashk there is a giant ship. I mean, it's a sky ship, but most people aren't aware of that. It's just a giant ship in the middle of the desert. Shipwreck in the middle of the goddamn desert in the mainland. Exactly. Yeah. Nothing prompts intrigue like something that obviously shouldn't be there. So one of the main reasons in Ashk, which is the setting that my players are currently in, there is a sky ship. People aren't aware that it's a sky ship that is crashed in the desert, and a town has built up around it, and descending into it's like city-sized. Descending into it has become like an adventurer's pastime thing. People arrive there to delve into its depths and try and recover the treasures. But that's in the middle of the desert, and that's why it's so notable, because people are like, there's this giant ship bigger than anything we can make just in the desert. What the hell? Kind of bygone of an ancient era. Then we need to drag that closer to the coast. Like yeah, like Las Vegas from the Forbidden West, but in a ship. Exactly. Yeah, that's a really good analogy for what it is. Good link to that location would be the ghost ship from the bestiary as it off the coast encounter. Finding out how to beat it could be tied to the wreck and its origin. Launch party. Yeah. We do have the ghost ship, or the bone. Yeah, the bone ship exists out in the Gleaming Sea. So we already have the bone ship incorporated there to a degree, at least. So right, we've got one more hex to figure out something in for. So it's the road south out of Galena. We've got kind of grizzly bears up in the forests. It's on the way to this viewpoint where you can get a look at the Halcyon Gulf. We know that there's hunters in the region, so let's go ahead and do some random generating. So we've got Traveler's Camp, maybe seems a bit mundane for like the last thing to pin here. A monstrosity. We've got a lot of monsters already. I don't really want to put another monster in necessarily. Let's have a look, see whether we can find anything that jumps out. A dark secret. That's evocative. I have no clue as to what it will be. But some kind of dark secret could be cool. So let's go ahead and start with our quest. We're just going to call it Dark Secret for now, because I have absolutely no idea what this is going to be. So we start with just getting our pin down, start editing it, make it uniform, and then we need to figure out, first thing is it going to be a macro level dark secret or a micro level dark secret? So is this someone's personal dark secret, or is this a dark secret that pertains to like the entire realm of the Veil? So as always, I'm just going to roll for it. So I'm going to roll a d6. Odds, it's like small level. Evens, it's big level. So evens, so we get big level. So this is a high level dark secret. So this is something pertaining either to the region as a whole or probably one of the cities. So we've got Galena, which has very little information built on it, and then we have Dream, which is the capital city. How can we incorporate dark secrets into this? So we've got, if we think back to the start of the stream, we've got the dials that we can play with. We've got the timestone wars and the timestone as a resource. We've got that dial. I'd rather stay away from that because we've had a lot of timey-wimey stuff, and I don't want to get too one-note. We've got the wealth of the region, in as much as we've got all of these mines and things, and it's a very wealthy region. We've got the protection of the region. The Maiden Queen is dead. Her sister has taken her place. That's spicy. Doesn't matter whether it's true. That is spicy. Yeah, I love it. Like, so we want someone here has the rumor that the Maiden Queen is dead and the current monarch is an imposter. Either twin sister, clone, doppelganger, etc. So we've got that starting point. Ginger beard, gentlemen. Yes, the map that I'm doing, the map was made with Incarnate, and all the writing and pins and stuff, that's in a program called Legend Keeper. The tomb of an ancient heir who's thought to have died of disease is empty, meaning the current ruler's claim may be legitimate. Could have some ancestral legitimacy. But I'm liking it. I like this because it doesn't need to, like, we don't need to decide whether the Maiden Queen is real or not now, or whether she's a doppelganger or a twin sister or an ancestral imposter, but just the fact that someone out there thinks that gives so much context to kind of political machinations that might happen once the players start engaging in this part of the world. So when the players get to this region, to the Vale, and they start having adventures here, start meeting movers and shakers, things will inevitably happen that I have no plan for and that I hadn't considered. And having this kind of dark secret, this kind of high level conceptual element to play with, can add context to a bunch of things that might otherwise seem random. So as the players are adventuring in this region, if they start to come across things that don't make sense, or if there are kind of elements that they run into a couple times, this is a secret that I can pull from to weave together those disparate things and make them seem like it was all part of a grander plan. I feel like a lot of the time when you're making these big kind of politico movements within a campaign, so much of it is recontextualizing things the players have experienced and making them think that that had deeper meaning when it happened, even if it didn't. Rumor should come from an influential person and not a nobody. Absolutely. Small group or a cult of people believe it's real, and that's sometimes enough. Absolutely. If they believe it strongly enough, they may just manifest it into being. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't necessarily need to be real. It doesn't need to be true. Just as long as there is one person with enough influence that believes it or is willing to spread it, we can use it to explain so much, and we can play with that element. Again, at no point had I considered that the Maiden Queen could be illegitimate, but just having that as an underlying thing, you know, if players go to the town of Furnace and they get in with the war veterans who are disgruntled because they're not receiving like pension payments and sickness payments and things like that, and this air of rebellion starts to grow, and then they hear the rumor that the Maiden Queen might be a doppelganger or a clone or an illegitimate ancestor or a twin sister or whatever it may be, that could push the players in a direction or make them choose to go down a different path that they might have otherwise gone down, based on the context of the interactions they've had within this region. So, like, dark secrets, so juicy. You can do so much with them with so little. And I think that gives us a pin in each of the principal hexes in the Vale. And let's have a quick look and see if we're not missing anything obvious. Yeah, I think maybe could have something up here, but we've got an entrance to the end of the dark there. We've already got a number of coastal things. I'm pretty happy to call the Vale surface level Vale. There's one northeast of Dream northeast. The Lightning Beach? Oh yeah, or these two. You mean these two in this like little cape? Nothing. They're the right of it. Dream. These two? The one that's got the cave fissure and the entrance to the Underdark? I don't think we need any more for that. I think we've done a good amount. Like, there's a little bit of space here on the cape, but I'm not too worried about that because we've got some clusters as well. So in terms of number of hexes versus number of pins, I think we've populated the Vale pretty well. So just like we did with Aeldal, that makes another region that now pretty much has a pin for every hex, which means that we are another step closer to like fully figuring out what the high level information going on in this campaign is going to be, which is super cool. So I think we'll call the world building there and we'll start the wind down. It's like 12 minutes to midnight, so we're getting close to the end of the stream anyway. What I like to do at the end of the stream is kind of wind down, give you all a chance to like ask questions or put things in the chat and have a bit of discussion before we end for the evening. So I'm going to go ahead, switch back to the old face cam, and whilst you are thinking of questions and things to put down in the comments, I will do my weekly spiel of who I am and where you can find me. So, my name is Xanto. You can find me every week on this stream. We stream between sort of 10 and midnight UK time every week on Sunday evenings. I also have a YouTube channel where I make a bunch of videos on running better games and being a better player and world building and map making and D&D and Pathfinder videos. There's a whole bunch of stuff there, massive library of back content for you to go and binge and keep you going between these streams. I also have a Patreon where every month I release a digital magazine called Side Quest. It's packed with content for 5e players and for game masters as well. I will go ahead and I will show you the cover for the upcoming issue 15 because it's absolutely baller. It's so cool. Let me go ahead and open this in the browser. You're gonna open? Yeah, you're gonna open. So we'll switch back to the desktop real quick, just so that you can see how cool the cover is for the next issue. So this was a piece that I commissioned by an artist called Hokunin, I think is how you pronounce it, and it depicts a new fighter subclass called the Reaver, who is all about bloodlust and using their kind of thirst for blood and violence to power their abilities. And they are wielding a new magic item called the Six Demon Bag, which they have drawn from and drawn out a metal demon to come to their aid against the horde of undead, which is what you can see standing back to back in this kind of terrible dank location where they're fighting all of these undead. That particular fighter, that tiefling, the words completely escape me there. Their name is Vathek. They are my new iconic fighter. I'm in the process of making a series of characters to represent each of the classes that will be appearing in art throughout subsequent issues. And yeah, this is the cover for issue 15, which is going to be hopefully coming out this coming week over on Patreon in the link that is in the chat. It's got a whole bunch of infernal themed content in this issue. There are new abyssal themed tiefling sub races. There is the Reaver. There are a whole bunch of really cool magic items and cursed items, and there's information on the Infernal Court, which is Hell's judiciary system and kind of the ultimate word of law throughout all of the cosmos, because who are you going to trust to absolutely obey the letter of the law if not for like contract devils? And then let me switch back to the old face cam, and then finally, if you want to get involved in more discussion, I have a Discord server with a whole bunch of people where you can go and talk about all things RPG related. There's sections for players and game masters and world builders, and if you make art and maps and stuff, there's a channel for you, and it's just a good time. And then breathe. So with that spiel done, let's go ahead and dive through some of the questions. So Nevtal says, here's a question that was on my mind for a while actually. What's the demographic of the players this world will be used for? What sort of age range and experience of TTRPGs? So predominantly, first and foremost, it's for my home group. So it's for a bunch of 30-somethings from the UK who are all familiar with TTRPGs. So our newest player has been playing with us now for over a year, well over a year. They started with 5th edition, they started in this campaign. We played once with like the red box from 3rd edition, I think, like 20 years ago, but they've not had any like serious like real D&D experience until they started with us, and then they picked up a second game. Everyone else has played multiple campaigns. So we're all fairly experienced with TTRPGs, and the group that I'll be playing with predominantly, almost all of them I've known for like 15 years, 20, maybe more than 15 years. Time is terrifying. Bob says, how would you manage an area which is unclaimed between two races, dwarves and orcs, when the site is deemed holy by both? It's a prime excuse for war is the very first way to do it. Another way is kind of establishing a mutual exclusion zone where both sides go, right, okay, we both think that we own this. We're sick of having a war over it, so neither of us will own it, but we'll both own it, and we'll both establish sites within this space, and we'll freely be allowed to move and interact with these sites in this space as kind of like a neutral zone between the two nations. There's a Nobel Peace Prize ready for anyone who can solve that one. Did TTRPGs come first or friendship? Friendship, I think. So this group of friends, most of them, we've been playing some form of games together since we're in high school. And I believe that we really got started because of Warhammer. So we all played or collected Warhammer and started playing together. Then obviously played video games together and stuff. Several of the people that are in my weekly group I went to uni with, and we lived together for like 3 or 4 years when I went away for uni. And then we've been playing weekly for the last like, it's like 5 years now. 6 years. It's getting on 4, I think, that we've been playing weekly D&D. We started because we'd dipped in and out of playing games, people trying to run them for a long time, and it always fizzled through because, you know, scheduling is hard. And eventually it got to the point where I was like, I want to play D&D. The only way that this is going to happen is if I put it together and run it, because we're a notoriously flaky group of people. So I put together a game and we started playing Pathfinder 1st edition because we were playing 3.5, or had played 3.5 at the time. And we're like, we'll play Pathfinder because it's basically the same game. And then we've been doing that every week for like 5 years. What's the biggest wow yet? Let's do it moment a player surprise you with? Oh my god, so many that result in like end of the world level stakes. So I've got 2 examples, both from my last campaign. One of them was they'd just got finished kind of saving this wizard's tower, the tower in a magical kind of college. They'd just got finished saving it from like an invasion of demonic forces, and they were like winding down, getting ready to move out. And as they were on their way out, they saw the headmaster of the college walk towards a wall, summon a door, and go through the door. And one of the players was like, I need to know what is behind that door. We can't leave until I know. So they kind of dimension doored through the wall into this like secret tunnel into this like vault underneath the Wizard's College, and kept there was this immortal vampire that was like magically restrained down there. They couldn't kill him, so they kept him magically restrained, along with all of these other awful artifacts. The players go down there. One of the players at the time is playing a like really devout anti-undead cleric, and as soon as they see this vampire, they're like, it's on. There's no way I'm leaving this place while that thing lives. So they go to attack the vampire, which like disrupts the magic keeping him there. So he gets out and he grabs a magic item that's like a plague in a box, and he teleports out of there. And then they're like, oh, great. So we just unleashed the plague. And then the other one was they were underneath the city for the kind of last leg of the campaign, on their way to fight the BBEG. And they managed to circumvent what I had placed in this dungeon. They managed to sneak around it, so there was a lot less left in the session in terms of content than I had planned. So they come to what would have been like a right fork. And I was like, I need time. So the best thing I have found to buy you time when you're a dungeon master is give your players a binary choice, because they will agonize over it for so long. So instead of turning right and going up the stairs and going to where they needed to go, I was like, right, you come to a T-junction, right is up the stairs and where you need to go, but left is a mysterious door, and that door might have secret spooky things on the other side of it. And that managed to stopped them for long enough for them to decide what they wanted to do, and then they ended up in a different plane of existence by going through the door, which was good fun. The first time I thought was Church of the Holy Sepulchre, split between who remembers how many dominations, and then always seemed to be eternally fighting there. Because you said that secret tunnel, the following must be said: two lovers forbidden from one another, a war drives their people, and the mountain divides them apart, build a path together. Yeah, I forget the next couple of lines, but then it goes secret tunnel, through the mountain, secret tunnel. It gets stuck in my head so often. Anytime someone mentions a tunnel or secret, it's there. I'm like, secret tunnel. Always. I did it earlier today. We was sat down at the beach, and there's a little tunnel that leads down to the beach. And someone was like, oh, which way did you come? And they're like, oh, through the tunnel. And I'm just like, secret tunnel. Just go in for it. The note about the church was the whole area sacred to many. Yeah, I gathered. So go ahead, and anyone with any other questions or anything, throw them down into the chat before we finish up for the evening. I will throw one more link down in there, which is for the cheat sheets, for the launch cheat sheets. Yeah, party time. Go ahead, check them out. Like I said, if you are already a backer and you have got those, I would greatly appreciate you leaving a 5-star review, because it really helps drive views to the products, especially when they're new, and it helps reach more people. It's super useful. Fleenix said, do you know about index card RPG? So any thoughts? I have vaguely heard of it. I'm not intimately familiar with it. I think I've just heard the name. So I have no thoughts other than I think that I'm aware that it exists in some way, and I imagine that it's index card based. I would imagine it's a way for generating ideas and things using index cards. That's what I would go off based on the name anyway. That would be my assumption. Right then. Okay, so we are exactly on midnight. Ideal timing. So I'm going to call it there for the evening. It has been lovely hanging out with you all. I appreciate everyone getting involved in the comments. I hope going through the process of world building this evening has been helpful and inspiring and made you want to go and work on your own worlds. As always, run this stream every Sunday night, same bat time, same bat channel. So hopefully I will see you all next weekend, next Sunday. And until then, happy gaming.